All right. Good morning. Hope you're having a great Monday so far. I'm going to give this another minute or two before I jump into the workout. It's not quite 8 o'clock yet, but as part of getting started, I got to show the waiver. So for today's workout, we're going to be using just body weight again. I'll be using a towel for one of the exercises. And again, I'm not going to put any music on. It's probably going to be better sound quality for you if you just have headphones or speaker going. So take the next minute here to set up some music for yourself. And we'll get started in just a second. It's 8 o'clock now. So welcome. If you're already here, thanks for coming. So we'll get started here in just a second. Once again, I'm Ray. I'm one of the trainers at the club. And today's, hi Susan. What's up, Stephanie? Good to have you both. So go ahead and make sure you've got your mat set up. We're just going to use a chair today. We will use the chair quite a bit. So if you've got a towel, a mat, a chair, that's probably all you'll need. If you want an optional weight and you've got it at home, like a dumbbell or even a book bag with some weights or some books in it, that would be useful. Let's get started. Lying on our backs here. Let's well, I have my head toward the camera here. So getting started on your back. Just warm it up with arms out to a T. And then let's bring right leg up toward the ceiling. And what we're going to do is just drop that leg over to your left. So it's going to cross your body. And the goal here is to keep your right shoulder on the floor and take those right toes all the way across your body so they can come down and touch the floor. So let the weight of your leg create a little bit of a twist through your spine here. Now, using your abs, bring that leg back up overhead so both hips are flat on the floor, and then control that leg all the way down to the floor so that it's lying next to your left leg. Now, left leg comes up. Cross that all the way over. So left leg sits down on the floor. So for me, I feel a little more tightness through my rib cage when I take my left leg over to the right. So you can always spend a little more time on one side. Again, let the weight of your leg do the work here. Let gravity help out here. Control that back up overhead. Both hips are flat on the floor, and then lower that leg all the way down to meet your right foot. Let's go one more time on each side. Spend a couple deep breaths with that leg resting at the floor. You can turn your head away from the leg. So if my right leg is going over to the left, I'm going to look to the right. Now look back up toward the sky, bring that leg back up. Both hips on the floor. Lower that right leg all the way down. Left leg comes up. Send it over to the right. I'm going to look to my left. Now I'm going to bring that leg back up overhead, both hips on the floor, and then lower that left leg all the way down. Good. So what we'll do is we'll actually just turn to right side now. So lying on your right side, bend your right knee so that your right foot is back behind you. If you're having a hard time seeing that, from lying on my side, I'm simply going to pull right foot back behind me. Now, flex that left foot or your top foot. You're going to lift up this top leg, but before you lift it, I want you to Roll those hips forward so your belly button points toward the floor. By flexing your foot, I also want you to flex your buns on that left side. So now your entire left leg is pulled slightly back behind you, and then we're going to lift and lower there. So we're warming up buns here, warming up the glutes, and by keeping that left leg pulled slightly back behind you, that's going to keep your hips working. So rather than feeling cheater muscles down the side of the leg doing the lifting, this should be more, think of kind of the corner of your butt. About 12 or so on that left leg. And then we're simply going to switch sides here. So now bend the left leg, the bottom leg. Flex that right foot. Pull that right leg back behind you slightly, and then lift and lower. And when I say pull that leg back behind you, I simply mean we're extending at the hip enough to get your buns working. Keep going. Couple more. Good. All right. Go ahead and come to all fours here. Marisa's here. And David is here. All right. Good to have you all. So let's come to either a push-up position. We're going to do some side planks with a little bit of a, fun transition. So you're either in a push-up position, or if you need to modify and do your side planks from your knees, totally fine. Either one is good. And you can always switch between these two positions if you find that one is too easy or one is too hard. But what we're going to do is we're going to work on starting in a side plank with feet together, legs together, and then we're just going to make it a nice, smooth transition coming over to the other side. So slow and steady without letting those hips stick out behind you. So the goal is to keep that side plank position the whole time, or plank position the whole time. If you're on extended legs, then you can still smooth transition over to the other side. And do your best here to keep your body in that plank the whole time. Keep going. Woo. Balance gets a little tough here. But your shoulders are going to get a lot out of this warm-up. In addition to getting your core going. One more time. And rest. Good. All right, so let's jump into the work aspect of the workout. So we're going to start with a single leg RDL, or more of kind of a stiff leg deadlift, but we're just using body weight. So everything we do today will be for 30 seconds, and we're going to go strength exercise, to more of sort of a cardio or metabolic conditioning drill. So 30 seconds per, and we'll do every circuit 2 times through. So for the first circuit, if you start on right foot, that left leg and your torso are going to move as one unit through that deadlift movement. So we're hinging from the hips, and the goal will be to keep your hands as close to your legs, your standing leg, as possible. So one way to think of this is shaving the legs. We'll go 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other. And remember that this is a hinge from the hips sort of a movement. We're not rounding through the back. So we'll go 30 seconds per side. We're going to do a standing mountain climber. So you can start with hands toward the sky, hands at your ears. As you pull one knee up toward your chest, you're going to rotate opposite elbow to that knee. So think of almost like a bicycle movement. that you would do on the floor for your abs. We're going to think of it as a standing mountain climber. We'll go 30 seconds there, and then just a simple jumping jack. So for the jumping jacks, if the impact is a little much, you can always just step 1 foot at a time out to the side. You're still warming up, getting those shoulders moving. So let's get started with the single leg deadlift, all time. And we're going 30 seconds, standing on the right foot. Ready, set, go. So balance is a tricky part of this movement. You can stand next to your chair, hold onto the back of the chair, and use that for balance. Again, think of hinging at the hips. You're going to keep a straight line from the heel of that left foot all the way through the crown of your head. And we're switching sides. We got 10 seconds to switch here. So now we're standing on the left foot. Ready, set, go. Reaching back with that right heel. So right knee stays straight, right foot stays flexed. Keeping a straight line from the crown of your head through that heel. If these are a little dicey to do on one foot, you can simply work on more kind of a stiff leg movement with both legs here. Squeeze and buns tight to come back up to standing. Feel some stretch through those hamstrings, and that's time. So we're going to go through that mountain climber next here, the standing mountain climber. Bring your hands to your ears and go. Slow and steady here, crunching that knee in as close to your chest as possible. So exhale as you pull that knee up to your chest. If that rotation is not for you, just work on using abs to pull your knee up to your chest as close to you as you can. And time. So we've got jumping jacks next here. Getting started in a couple seconds. Deep breath. And ready, set, go. So if you can reach those hands all the way overhead with your jumping jacks, good. If not, it's a little much to bring those hands overhead. You can do a jumping jack with your hands out in front of you. Front jack, if you will. Each time you do this, do your best to keep chest up. As you bring those hands out, keep going here. And time. Good. So short little break here. Let's take a second and then we'll run through that whole circuit one more time. So we're coming back to the single leg, stiff leg deadlift. We'll be starting on the right foot again. Like I said, if you need to practice hinging from the hips with both feet on the floor, that's totally fine. If you need to do these with a chair next to you for balance, also totally fine. Let's get started standing on the right foot again. So before you even hinge at the hips, start by flexing your foot, your left foot. Keep that leg extended and go. So reaching left heel back behind you. Shaving the legs. As you reach your fingertips toward the floor, focus on keeping shoulder blades squeezed down and back so that you're not rounding through the shoulders. You're keeping a nice, healthy posture throughout the movement. Good. That's 30 seconds on the right. Switching to the left leg now. Ready, set, go. If you notice your hips opening up, maybe don't go quite so far. Just focus on the hinge at the hips aspect. Imagine you've got bright headlights, one on the front of each hip. You need those headlights to point straight down toward the floor. Keep going here, and time. Good. If the mountain climbers that we were doing standing are too easy, feel free to come down to a mountain climber on the floor. But whatever option you choose, we are going. Ready, set, go. So we're pulling that knee up high. You can bring opposite elbow to knee. If you want to add in, bringing elbows down to meet that knee, another good option. Keep going here. Doing great. And time. Go ahead and make sure you've got some open space here. We got jumping jacks starting in 3, 2, 1, and go. So the purpose of this little drill is to really drive that heart rate up. They're simple, classic movement, still good. 10 more seconds here. And time. Nice. All right, quick little water break here. So grab a sip of water. Peggy's here. What's up, Peggy? It's good to see you. So we're going to be moving on to a step up. We're going to do a hollow tuck for the abs, and then we'll do another sort of fast drill that will drive the heart rate up. So make sure your chair is steady enough to step up onto it. If not, if you don't have a chair that's quite stable for that, or if you don't really trust your balance yet, that's okay. You can always do a lunge instead of a step up. But what we're going to work on here is nice control as you come up, and then switch feet. Stand up on the other foot. So the same leg will do the lifting and the lowering before you switch sides. So come up and lower yourself down on the same leg. And we'll just alternate feet there. For the hollow tuck, if you're lying on your back, go ahead and bring shoulders and head up off the floor. Reach fingertips toward your heels. And we're going to extend those legs, pull those knees in and crunch. Extend legs, pull those knees in and crunch. If this is a little tough for your hip flexors or your abs, you can always bring heels to the floor and then lift those feet and crunch. You can do 1 foot at a time, lift, crunch. And then from there, what we'll do for that metabolic conditioning is we're going to do a jump squat with a floor touch. So you're going to start touching the floor, jump as high as you can, soft landing, tap the floor. And if you need a no impact option, just a fast squat with floor taps. All right, so let's get started here with a step up first. Ready, set, go. So up and down on the same leg. Make sure you come all the way to standing tall on the step. Breathe out as you stand. Move at a speed where you are challenging yourself, but you're in control of that movement the whole time. And time. All right, so we're coming down to your mat here. Lying on your back. Bring your legs up to make a tabletop with your shins. Reach those fingertips past your hips and go. So here, I want you to keep your low back glued to the floor. Even when you extend those legs long, make sure that lower back still stays in contact with the floor. That means your abs are working harder and you're keeping your hip flexors happy. So that's time here. All right, so now we're really gonna drive that heart rate up. So we're going from touching the floor to a jump squat. Go. Jump as high as you can. Land as softly as possible. Just 5 more seconds. And time. All right. Short break. Catch your breath. All right. So we'll be coming back to the step up first. If you need that modification, remember, you can always do some sort of a lunge, whether that's a reverse lunge, maybe it's a forward lunge. You can do a split squat where you're simply staying in one place, moving up and down. And you can always do that with your hand on the chair. But if you're using your chair for the step-ups, we're getting ready, set, go. Make sure you get that foot all the way under the chair before you step up. And lowering yourself back down is just as important as bringing yourself up high. 3, 2, 1. And we're back down to the mat. Starting to get out of breath here. So, tabletop with the shins, reach those fingertips long, and go. Extend those legs, pull knees in toward your chest and crunch. Remember those modifications we talked about? Maybe you're tapping one heel at a time to the floor. Maybe you're taking both heels down toward the floor. Lift them up and crunch. And time. All right, so nice and quick. Get yourself set up for the squats. And go. So we're either tapping a hand and jumping, or if you need to take the impact out of this movement, go through very, very quick squats with a floor tap. If you're doing this without the jump, focus on coming all the way up to stand tall. So you get a nice big movement in there, even without that jump. And time. Whew. All right. So that's going to be the bulk of the work for our lower body. What we're going to do next, this is where we'll need that towel, if you've got it. What we'll do next is an isometric hold. So, fancy way of saying hold a specific movement with keeping as many muscles as possible working. So, take your towel, fold it, hot dog a couple of times, and then I want you to stand right on the middle of that towel. Stick your butt out behind you. And the idea here is to get your back to be relatively parallel to the floor. And now holding each end of that towel, we're going to do a row movement. And you just got to pull against that towel as hard as you can, as long as you can. So core's tight, back muscles are working, arms are working, pulling those shoulders back. Pull, pull, pull as hard as you can. And we're going to go for 30 seconds. If you can't hold it for 30 seconds, maybe split it up into sets of 10 seconds. Pull as hard as you can for 10. Quick break. Pull as hard as you can. From there, we'll come down to the floor. So lay it on your belly. We're going to do a back extension here. So either hands below your chin or arms reaching out long. We're going to lift up and come down. Buns tight and come down. Optional leg lift as well. Come down. Working to get those low back muscles, butt muscles, even more of those posture muscles working. Then we'll go into that sort of Metcon drill, that cardio drill. We're going to go wide feet. We're going to do a lateral lunge with the floor touch. So Think of reaching down to tap the floor on the outside of your bent knee every time you're coming back up to center. All right, so we've got that row first. Go ahead and stand on the middle of your towel. Rolling up each end so you can hold on to it. It's going to be like a very, very thick handlebar. And ready, set, go. Pull those shoulder blades back. Pull on that towel as hard as you can. Pull, pull, pull. Keep pulling. Keep your core braced here. Although we're tightening as many muscles as possible, you still got to breathe. Pull, pull, pull. Try to tear that towel. Pull. 8 more seconds. 5 more seconds. Keep pulling as hard as you can. Pull. And time. All right. Come down. Lie on your stomach here. Hands under your chin or hands reaching long. And go. Lift, squeeze, and lower. Squeeze and lower. Exhale as you bring your chest off the floor. Inhale on the way back down. Optional leg lift. Make it a little harder by reaching arms long. After those rows, these are going to be tough. And time. Good. All right, everybody stand here. Get your feet set up wide. Feet pointed forward and tap the floor outside of that bent knee. Come up. Tap the floor outside of the bent knee. If these lateral lunges don't really agree with you, you can always stand with feet closer together and reach down to tap the floor on either side of your feet. You can also make this harder by reaching the foot out, tapping the floor, and then coming back to center. Step out. And that's time. All right, so quick breather here. We're coming back to that isometric row again. They're tough. So again, if you need to take a short break during that set, that's okay. Strive for maybe 10 seconds at a time, maybe 15 seconds at a time. All right, so coming back to standing on the middle of your towel. Keep in mind too that if you stand with your feet wider apart, that'll make it a little bit harder because you'll have less towel to hold on to. That's going to bring you a little closer to the floor. All right, come back to that towel. Grab each end here and go. We're pulling as hard as we can here. Tear that towel, right? Squeeze those shoulder blades back. Maybe your elbows are bent, maybe they're straight, but either way, you're still pulling as hard as you can. 15 seconds down here. Pull, pull, pull. Every muscle is working right now. 5 more seconds. Keep pulling. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, come on down to your belly. I want you to reach your arms long this time. At least start with reaching those arms long and go. Not a huge movement. And really, the goal here is to make sure that your low back doesn't feel any pinchy pain. So by flexing your buns tight, every time you lift, you get your hips more involved. And that's going to keep the low back feeling more okay with this movement. 3, 2, 1, and stand. All right, we've got those lateral lunges with the floor tap. Feet wide and ready, set, go. So every time you reach down toward the floor, you're going to be pushing your butt back behind you. So simply a squat on one leg while keeping that other leg straight. So whichever side you're reaching down toward the floor on, that leg's basically just doing a squat. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right. Short break. Grab another sip of water here. So far, so good. If any questions come up, you can always leave them in the comments. And I'll do my best to just check between sets. So we're coming down to push-ups next. This will be our last circuit. We'll run through it twice. Today, for our push-ups, I want to work on coming all the way down to the floor and then coming all the way up to the top of the push-up. So every time you come down, you're actually going to lift your hands off the floor. What that does is it works your posture and your back muscles a little bit more as you lift those hands off the floor. If you're doing the push-ups from your knees, that's perfect. You can still lift those hands. Maybe you're somewhere between knee push-ups and full push-ups. That's where your chair comes in handy. If you're doing these on the chair, you don't lift the hands. You just come down until your chest touches the chair before you press back up. So we're going to go through push-ups. We're going to do a side plank. This will be 30 seconds per side. And we are either going to be on the side of the feet in a full side plank, dipping hips toward the floor, lifting back up. Or if you're on your knees, that movement is still possible. So what you'll feel is a little bit more of almost a sort of crunching movement on the lower side of your core. We'll flip over, we'll work on the other side. And then we're going to do sort of a variation of a burpee that lines up with the push-ups we were just doing. So from standing, you want to start with a jump. Then we're coming all the way down to lie completely on your stomach. Stand and jump. So you can still go through these like a normal burpee, which would be hands to the floor, hop the feet back, optional push-up. But remember, you're coming all the way down to the floor. Press back up, stand and jump. So this would be maybe the hardest way to do those burpees. If you're still working your way up to it, you can always carefully come down to your stomach, lift hands off the floor, carefully come up to standing, maybe go for a hop. That's certainly going to drive the heart rate up. So let's get started with your push-up first. Ready, set, go. All the way up, all the way down, lift your hand. All the way up, lower down, lift the hand. You're still staying in control the whole time though. You're exhaling as you press up. Inhale on the way back down. No holding your breath. 5 more seconds. And time. Good. So turn to your right side here. We'll get started with the side plank on the right. 3, 2, 1, and go. And then small dips of those hips toward the floor. If you're on your bent knees, you're still going to work on lowering those hips down so they just lightly touch the floor and then come back up. You're doing great. 10 more seconds here. This is easy. No problem. 3, 2, 1, and switch sides. Either on bent knees or straight legs. Ready, set, go. It's another 15 seconds of work here. If this, for any reason, if this bugs your lower back, then just focus on holding the side plank, squeezing your thighs together for 3, 2, 1, and stand. So we're going to go through those burpees. Ready, set, go. You can start with a jump, come down, push-up position, but lift the hands, stand and jump. bending with my hands that time. So what this does is it just guarantees that you're coming all the way down to the floor for 5 more seconds. And time. So definitely a harder circuit there. Quick break. Let's take another 10, 15 seconds. So far, you're doing awesome. We're almost there. We got one more round. So we're coming back to the push-ups. Either on your knees or on your toes. Come on down to your stomach. Make sure those hands are right under the shoulders, maybe just wider than shoulder width. And ready, set, go. Press all the way up, lower all the way down, lift your hands. And every time you lift your hands, think of squeezing shoulder blades down and back toward your back pockets. Now as you press up, make sure you've already got buns tight so that your hips don't sag as you come up to the top of the push-up. And time. Side plank. I'm going to start on the opposite side this time. So starting on the left. Ready, set, go. Small dips toward the floor. Only lifting hips back up till they're in line with your shoulders and heels. Keep going for another 10 seconds here. You're almost there. Keep going. 3, 2, 1, and switch sides. Coming up on that right elbow next. So feet stacked. Ready, set, go. The entire time, you're squeezing thighs together. Buns tight. Core braced. Exhale as hips come up. Inhale as you dip them toward the floor. Lowering down till just before your hips touch the floor. 5 more seconds. Keep going. 3, 2, 1, and stand. We got those beautiful burpees. Last 30 seconds of work here. Ready, set, go. Every time you come down to your stomach, lift those hands. We're almost there. Just 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right. Very nice. So, after you catch your breath, we're going to do a quick little ab burner, and then we'll do a little bit of stretching and cool down work right at the end. We're coming up on 8:40. I want to do work till about 8:45, and then we'll do some cool down work. So go ahead and come back to your mat. This is going to be a plank on the forearms. We're shooting for a minute. Ready, set, go. And we're lifting 1 foot at a time. Extending one hip or extending at the hip, 1 leg at a time. Every time you lift that foot, squeezing buns tight. Glutes are doing the lifting here. Controlled movement. We're not letting hips sway side to side. And you're already 30 seconds in. Keep it up, keep it up. You can also do this from the knees and just carefully lifting one knee at a time while keeping your hips low enough to maintain that plank position. 5 more seconds. And time. Resting on your stomach here. Maybe come down, give those shoulders a little break. Deep breaths, because we got one more round. Go. Small controlled lifts. 15 seconds down here. Make sure your elbows stay below your shoulders. Pressing the floor away from you. Don't give up. Keep holding that. If nothing else, just hold the plank. Keep pushing that floor away from you. If hands are clasped, unclasp those hands. Make a couple of fists. Push those fists into the floor. 45 seconds down. Keep those leg lifts going. You've got this. 5 seconds to go here. Hold it all the way till the end. And time. Nice. All right. You did it. Good work. We're going to run through a little bit of stretching here while we let that heart rate come back down. So on your mat, go ahead and come into a lunge position. So that's a nice hip flexor stretch here. What we were working on Friday is keeping your core tight as you press into that stretch so that it's more specific to the hip flexors without bugging the low back. So core is braced. Tuck your tailbone, right? So think of tucking your tail between your legs and then pushing into that stretch. From there, I want you to sit your butt back toward that heel on the back leg. Lift your toes up on that front foot. So now your front foot is flexed. And by pushing your butt back behind you, we're going to get a nice hamstring stretch through that front leg. Do your best to keep your body tall here and hinge from the hips. Come back into that hip flexor stretch and let's switch legs. So we are in that hip flexor stretch setup. Tucking your tailbone, keeping your core braced, and then pressing hips forward. This should really be just primarily a stretch through front of that back leg's hip. From there, sitting down toward the back heel, flipping the front foot up, keeping a tall torso, hinging from your hips. So now we're using some of that same movement skill we were working on those deadlifts this morning. Pushing your bottom back, keeping a straight spine, working on chest toward toes of the front foot. Come back up. Let's go back to that first side one more time. So starting with the simple hip flexor stretch. And then sitting back, heels of the back foot, flipping the front foot up, hinging from those hips. Tall torso here. Switch legs. Still sweating all over my mat. So buns are tight on that back leg. Tailbone is tucked. So my tail's between my legs. Core is braced. And then sitting down under the heel of the back foot. Tall torso. stretching hamstrings on that front leg. All right, go ahead and come on out of that stretch. Let's get set up in all fours on the mat. And this is a really useful little bit of time if those push-ups are bugging your wrist. So starting in all fours, I want you to gently take those shoulders out past your fingertips. So we're just slightly leaning forward, leaning into that stretch for the wrist, and then easing back out of it. This is going to be pretty decent amount of stretch through the wrists. If you turn fingertips out to the sides, we're going to gently shift weight side to side. This is a little more intense now. It's a little more stretch at the wrists. Spread all of your fingers out. Keep the heel of your hand on the floor and just focus on getting a good stretch. You'll feel it on the inside of the forearm. You might feel a little bit of almost sort of shutting down or sort of pinching on the back of the hand. If you can really spread those fingertips out, just push into the stretch to create a little mild discomfort, nothing crazy. Now, if you turn your fingertips back to point at your knees and lean your hips back toward your heels, that's going to be a much deeper stretch. You might not be here yet, that's okay. You're just working your way toward it. Small, almost pulses here, but we're not bouncing. We're just pressing into a little bit more of a stretch, easing back out of it. Okay, so now reach those hands long in front of you. Sit your butt down toward your heels. Child's pose here. And in this stretch, think about what your shoulders are getting out of it. Your forearms, including your elbows, are on the floor. Can you shift your hips back as far back toward your heels as possible? Knees can be wide and heels can be wide here to let you sit back into the stretch a little more. Dropping chest toward the floor. Forehead can rest on the floor so that you feel a good stretch through the shoulders. Go ahead and come on out of that stretch. And you made it. Good work today. We're back at it on Friday, 8 o'clock. You can always go back and watch these workout videos after the fact on the Facebook page. Thanks for showing up today. Have a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.